Hi, my name's Isaac, and we're back again on the Windows XP default wallpaper to review this 2021 Hyundai Elantra N-Line. I'm super excited about this particular car because it's actually a manual transmission. I've never driven a manual Hyundai before, but I can attest after a brief drive with this thing delivers in spades. You never hear anybody say it delivers in hearts or clubs. Why is that? This delivers in clubs. You know what? I just figured out why people don't say that. That doesn't sound good at all.
Before we begin, I want to give a huge shout out to Brown Daub Hyundai for allowing me to review this vehicle. For all your Hyundai needs, you can visit Brown Daub right off of Hecktown Road in Easton, Pennsylvania, or at their website, browndaubhyundai.com.
After reviewing the footage from the opening skit, I now realize that that's the most Ryan Reynolds-esque thing I've ever done. So I'll save you the comment where you go, has anybody ever told you you look like Ryan Reynolds? No, never. No one's ever said that. That's crazy. You're the first one. Anyway, moving on to the car, you'll get LED headlights, daytime running lights, but you are going to get incandescent turn signals. I really like this N-Line grille that you get. It's not only an appearance package, but it's also a tune on the engine as well. We'll get to that when we move under the hood, but you will get an N-Line badge down here. And I really like this new Elantra look. I think it's incredibly sleek looking, and it's got just such a good design. I mean, I really like what they've done with all the lines. I do think that it can get a little busy in certain aspects of the front section in particular, but I think they really did a good job overall with this. Moving underneath the hood in the N-Line, this is powered by a 1.6 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, making 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque, and that is of course paired to a 6-speed manual transmission. Moving to the profile of the N-Line, starting with the wheels and tires here, you're going to have 235 40R tires wrapped around these really nice angled 18-inch wheels. I think this design really flows with the rest of the car. Moving up here, you'll have your N-Line badge on the side as well, and then this is part of the N-Line package. You'll have blacked out mirrors with heating built into them, and this also does include blind spot monitoring. Then moving down the door panel here to the handle, there is keyless entry, so you can tap that and it will lock the car, and tap that and it is going to unlock the car, which is really nice. And then speaking, just like if you could see here the lines on this car, just look at how amazing that is. I just love how it splits right there, and the use of triangles is just really cool. And they even made, you know, like the gas cap look cool because it's got that design in it. I think that's just fantastic. And then moving here to the rear, it continues the current trend of everything's got to have an LED light bar in the back, and this Elantra is no exception. You'll have Elantra spelled out with the backup camera integrated right above the Hyundai logo, and then you're going to have a little spoiler right there. I think that's really cool. Contrasts really well with this kind of lava orange color that this has. And then if we grab the keys really quick, in addition to lock, unlock, and panic, you can also hold down, and that is going to pop your trunk automatically. And if we move inside here, you have a decent amount of space back here, actually more than a decent amount of space. You could probably fit a 55-inch TV back here, and additionally you can fold the seats down, which is really nice. Moving to the interior of this N-Line, starting here with the door panel, it is really nicely trimmed with this very cool leather stitching in here. You'll have a speaker incorporated into the door, and then down here you'll get your traditional switches and your mirror controls. One really interesting thing I think is kind of funny in here is if you open the door, the accessory noise, it almost sounds like you're getting a call on Skype. I know everybody uses Zoom now, but I used to use Skype a lot, and it's like boom, bang, boom, bang, bong, bang, boom, bang, boom. Okay, that's enough of that. But anyway, that will be funny to exactly 2 people, but you're worth it. Anyway, moving to the steering wheel controls here, really premium feel on here. You'll have your Bluetooth, your volume controls, and channel changing, as well as answering the phone and not, and then you will have your cruise control and safety settings right there. I mean, look at the quality even on these stocks right here. I mean, the texture is just so cool, and it's like this kind of crystallized thing on even the windshield wipers, which is really nice. In your turn signals, always cool to see. Moving into the gauge cluster, this is very unique. You actually have your screen off to the right here with the speedometer taking center stage and the tachometer off to your left. I suppose that does make sense because this is a more performance-oriented car. But in this small screen, you can do traditional stuff like your tire pressure monitoring and your attention levels, stuff like that. So that's pretty nice to see. And I really like, as I mentioned, the kind of racing performance theme that this has all over the car. The steering wheel is even etched in this really nice stitching, which is really cool. If we move over to our infotainment system, it is pretty nice, fairly responsive, though it does have a tiny bit of lag. You do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto built in, of course, and there is other really nice features like Blue Link and your user manual, voice memo. Voice memo is a really fun feature, so you can leave yourself voice messages. If you think of something really smart in your Hyundai Elantra N-Line, you can say it and your Hyundai will remind you. So that's always really cool to see. And then below that, you'll have your hazards and then your push button start. Even though this is a manual transmission, this does have push button start, which is cool to see. And you'll have your climate controls, your heated seats, and below that you'll have two USBs and a 12 volt, as well as G wireless charging built in right there. And then you'll have your parking camera button. So if you want to go to your camera, even while you're driving, you can do that. You can turn that on and off, which is really cool. And then you'll have your shifter, of course, in here. I really like this. A lot of the newer cars, because they want to make sure you shift into reverse, and I don't drive a ton of manual, so maybe this is more common than I think, but you actually have to pull up to shift into reverse, which I think is really cool. And you don't just have to push really hard to get over to reverse. You have that definitive, I am in reverse now, and you have that chime with the backup camera. So that's really nice. I guess some people would probably be like, well, that's cheating. I've driven manual my whole life, and I've always just learned to know that I'm in reverse. And cool, but I think that that's a really helpful feature. Your parking brake down here, and then two cup holders, and a nice little storage cubby right there. And then if we move down further down the dash here, I mean, look at how premium this thing is. The stitching and the materials is, I mean, just unmatched in the segment. And then you'll have N stitched into the seats, which is really nice. And these seats are kind of cloth, but they are very comfortable. And then if we move up here, you are going to have your controls for the sunroof that this comes with. Moving to the rear seats in this Elantra N-Line, you have pretty decent legroom. I do have the seat pushed back a little bit further than I normally would sit just for filming purposes. No climate vents or storage or USBs back here, disappointingly, though it is still very nicely furnished, and you do have a pretty decent amount of legroom and headroom. The seats are just as comfortable back here, and you do get a fold-down armrest with two cup holders. That's pretty nice to see. Let's take this thing for a quick spin. All right, driving the Hyundai Elantra N-Line. For 25 grand, this thing's a nice little zippy daily driver. Pretty fun to kind of move around and maneuver throughout the city, I'd imagine. You know, getting it up a little bit to speed here. This is pretty fun. Oh, it's very grippy around turns. And I like that. Very sport, performance oriented. And it's very smooth. I'm obviously, you know, any brand new car you'd expect to be smooth, but this in particular really handles quite nicely. And the manual transmission is so easy to shift. I mean, this is almost like a baby shifting manual transmission compared to some of the other ones. It's definitely probably helped in some way electronically. That would be my guess, to like perfectly match the shifts, or I'm just getting really good at manual transmissions. I don't know. It's one or the other, but I've driven a lot recently for my reviews. And, you know, obviously it's just so much more fun to drive manual because, you know, there's more work involved. And I guess a lot of people like the automatic transmissions not having work involved, but this is definitely a really fun, sporty car. And it's for people that like fun, sporty cars. And it just handles really nicely. I actually just stopped talking for a little bit because I was having so much fun just switching gears and gunning it and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the driving segment where you're supposed to talk about how it handles. And it's great. I really love it. And if you are in the market for a Hyundai Elantra, I think if you enjoy driving manual or you just like to learn how to drive manual, this is the type of car to do it on. And it is woo-hoo-hoo! So much fun. So with that, I am going to conclude this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe, that would really help my channel out. And I am a Christian, so if you have any prayer requests, you can feel free to leave those in the comment section below. I also do a weekly Bible verse, so here that is. And with that, as always, guys, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. Take care.